thinks itself to be living in vain. Another wondrous effect produced here in the soul is that it considers itself as being most certainly worse than all other souls. First, because love is continually teaching it how much is due to God. And second, because as the works which it here does for God are many, and it knows them all to be faulty and imperfect, they all bring it confusion and affliction. For it realizes in how lowly a manner it is working for God, who is so high. On this third step, the soul is very far from vainglory or presumption, and from condemning others. These anxious effects, with many others like them, are produced in the soul by this third step, wherefore it gains courage and strength from them in order to mount to the fourth step, which is that follows. The fourth step of this ladder of love is that whereby there is caused in the soul an habitual suffering because of the beloved, yet without weariness. For as St. Augustine says, love makes all things that are great, grievous, and burdensome to be almost nothing. From this step the bride was speaking, when desiring to attain to the last step, she said to the spouse, "Set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your arm, for love," that is, the act and work of love, "is strong as death, and emulation and importunity last as long as hell." The spirit here has so much strength that it has subjected the flesh, and takes as little account of it as does the tree of one of its leaves. In no way does the soul here seek its own consolation or pleasure, either in God or in anything else, nor does it desire or seek to pray to God for favors, for it sees clearly that it has already received enough of these, and all its anxiety is set upon the manner wherein it will be able to do something that is pleasing to God, and to render him some service such as he merits, and in return for what it has received from him, although it be greatly to its cost. The soul says in its heart and spirit, "Ah, my God and Lord, how many are there that go to seek in Thee their own consolation and pleasure, and desire Thee to grant them favors and gifts. But those who long to do Thee pleasure and to give Thee something at their cost, setting their own interests last, are very few. The failure, my God, is not in Thy unwillingness to grant us new favors, but in our neglect to use those that we have received in Thy service alone, in order to constrain Thee to grant them to us continually." Exceedingly lofty is this step of love, for as the soul goes ever after God with love so true, imbued with the spirit of suffering for His sake, His Majesty oftentimes, and quite habitually, grants it joy, and visits it sweetly and delectably in the spirit. For the boundless love of Christ the Word cannot suffer the afflictions of His lover without succoring him. This He affirmed through Jeremiah, saying, "I have remembered you, pitying your youth and tenderness, when you went after me in the wilderness." Speaking spiritually, this denotes the detachment which the soul now has interiorly from every creature, so that it does not rest and finds quietness nowhere. This fourth step enkindles the soul and makes it to burn in such desire for God that it causes it to mount to the fifth, which is that which follows. The fifth step of this ladder of love makes the soul to desire and long for God impatiently. On this step, the vehemence of the lover to comprehend the beloved and be united with him is such that every delay, however brief, becomes very long, wearisome, and oppressive to it, and it continually believes itself to be finding the beloved. And when it sees its desire frustrated, which is at almost every moment, it swoons away with its yearning, as says the psalmist, speaking from the step, in these words, "My soul longs and faints for the dwellings of the Lord." On this step, the lover must needs see that which he loves or die. At this step was Rachel, when, for the great longing that she had for children, she said to Jacob her spouse, "Give me children, else shall I die." Here men suffer hunger like dogs, and go about and surround the city of God. On this step, which is one of hunger, the soul is nourished upon love. For even as is its hunger, so is its abundance, so that it rises from here to the sixth step, producing the effects that follow. End of chapter 19.